99% of people who gamble lose money. That's just how the maths works. But what if I told you there was a way to completely flip the odds in your favour, and it's not about luck or chasing wins? Every bookmaker builds a profit margin into their odds. That way, if you pick bets at random, you're constantly fighting a losing battle. For example, the odds of a coin toss landing on heads or tails should be 50-50, or in other words, odds of evens. Therefore, in theory, you should be able to back both sides and break even every time. But they make sure that's not the case. Now, a bookmaker will never give you odds of evens on something with a true 50% chance of happening. Instead, they'll give you odds of 10 to 11, or in decimals 1.91 on either side. In this example, we would say that evens are the true odds and 1.91 are the bookie odds. Even if you manage to get lucky in the short term, the longer you keep on gambling, the more clear the bookie's margin will become. Tipsters, accumulators, and so-called guaranteed systems will all be eaten by the margin eventually. So by now you must be thinking, well, what's the alternative? Match betting flips the script on its head and turns the odds in your favour. Instead of taking on the bookmaker, you use their free bets, promotions, and mispriced odds to quite literally guarantee yourself a profit. The bookie's margin and everything I mentioned in the intro goes completely out of the window. Now I'm going to show you a quick example to illustrate exactly what I'm talking about. If you're watching this video soon after it's posted, you might even be able to follow along. So I'm going to walk you through how a matched bettor should approach a new customer offer. Now, nearly every bookmaker out there has some sort of new customer offer, so you should never open a betting account without opting into the promotion first. But be aware, they often change up their offers from time to time, and some are better than others. Now, the example I'm going to go through today is Betfred, but the steps I explain are repeatable and they're applicable to every type of offer. So Betfred's new customer offer at the moment is £50 in free bets when you bet £10. I would always recommend reading the small print and stuff before signing up so you know exactly what you need to do. This one is relatively straightforward. Deposit £10, place a £10 bet at odds of evens or greater, and then be credited with 5 £10 free bets. 3 can be used on any sports bet and 2 to be used on accumulators. It's also worth pointing out that the accumulator must have 4 or more selections. Easy. So I'm going to hit claim here and then go through all the personal details sections, and I'll be back when we are through to the other side. Okay, so I'm nearly through to the end now, and it's just worth pointing out that you should check that the promo code has been applied here, because if not, you won't be entitled to the free bets. Okay, so I've just deposited £10 with a debit card like we said, and now it's time to find our first qualifying bet. Now, a qualifying bet is a bet that you place so you can qualify for the promotion. So in this case, we need to bet £10 at minimum odds of 2.0 in order to unlock the free bets. I'm also going to switch the odds format to decimals just so it's easier to compare in the next step. So now it's time to place our qualifying bet. I would always recommend doing this with horse racing, as there are races all the time and lots of horses to choose from. I've chosen this horse here, Percy Shelley, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the race is about an hour from now, so we have time to run through this, but also because of the odds. I would always recommend choosing a horse with odds between 4 and 7, as these will always give you the best results. Now you might be thinking, if this horse loses, we're down £10 already. But that's where matched betting comes in. We're going to use a betting exchange to ensure we take as small loss as possible in order to unlock the free bets. This is known as a qualifying loss. So I'm going to hop over to Smarkets and put them side by side just so we can compare. On the left we've got Betfred and on the right we've got Smarkets. Now the Betfred bet wins if Percy Shelley wins the race, but we need to cover for if Percy Shelley doesn't win the race. So we're going to need to lay Percy Shelley, which is the blue side here. Now you're going to want to make the return the same on both bets. That way, regardless of the outcome, we're going to get our £45 back. So it's a little bit of trial and error, and it's going to be around £9.19 is close enough. So our total outlay in this situation is going to be the £10 on Betfred here and the liability of £35.84 down here. Remember, it's the liability, not the stake on a betting exchange. That is our outlay. If you're unsure, go back to the second part of this mini masterclass and re-watch the exchange video. So that's a total of £45.84 outlay, and we know we're going to get back 45 or 45. So with a bit of basic maths, we can work out that we are going to lose 84 pence regardless of the outcome of the race. That is known as our qualifying loss. So I'm going to hit place on both of these right now, and I'll be back in 1 hour's time when the race has settled. So the race has finished, and as you can see, our horse lost, but that's fine. We guaranteed ourselves only an 84 pence loss in the last bit. So the good news is we have now unlocked our free bets. Now, since I recorded the last section, I was required to verify my identity just by uploading some documents. So you may or may not be required to do the same before you're credited with your free bets. Sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't. So all we're going to do now is to more or less repeat the process again. So I have another horse here. We're going to go with Warren Nabool, something like that. Once again, it's in our odds range, which we like. And we are going to use our free bets on this. So we may as well use the full £30 because we've got 30 on sport and we've got 20 on Accas, which we'll come to later. Now, as you can see, this returns 90. So we're going to hop over to our best friends markets, put them side by side so you can see. We've got our £30 free bet here. Make sure you tick this box, which returns £90. Then we're going to get the same horse here. Remember, the blue side is lay. Here's one I prepared earlier. We've got £21.43 in there to return £90. Now remember, this is a lay bet, so this will win if the horse fails to win the race. This one will win if the horse wins the race, so we're covering all outcomes. Remember, we always want to make our returns the same, so mine is 90. And we can see our outlay is our liability here, £68.57. Now, as these are free bets, these are not our real money, that's the only outlay, £68.57. So I'm going to hit place on both of these, and there we have it. So our £68.57 will return £90 regardless of whether the horse wins the race or not. So doing the maths quickly, and we will make a nice profit of £21.43. That leaves us with 2 bets to use on accumulators. We're still going to be using Smarkets, but this one is slightly different. Now, if you remember back when we were reading the terms and conditions for this offer, we know it's got to be minimum 4 selections. So I've added 4 teams down the side here. I've picked Arsenal, Osasuna, Aston Villa and Getafe. The reason I've gone for that is because it's around 5.63 odds. Now, as you'll see in a moment, if we went for any higher odds, the liability, so our outlay on Smarkets, will be much higher. This one is manageable. So we're going to stick our £20 free bets there, tick the box, put it in accumulator, because that's the type of bet we want to place. And as we can see, that returns £92.59. Once again, back over to our best friend Smarkets. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add all 4 of these teams with the green boxes this time. So we're going to add Arsenal first, then add Osasuna, then Aston Villa. Now I just want to point out, if you're doing this on mobile, you might be required to click add to multiple on your bet slip. That way you can create an accumulator. And finally, Getafe down there. So as you can see, I've put the green side. I've gone 4, 4, 4, 4 on all of our 4 teams. Then, because it's a multiple, we're not betting on these teams individually. You're going to go down here and yours might default to buy, highlighted green. We're going to click sell. Now, as you know, sell is the same as lay, and we're placing a lay bet. This wins here if all 4 of these teams win. And now this wins if any of these teams lose. So if the Accas a loser, then our Smarkets bet wins. If the Accas a winner, our free bets on Betfred win. So again, we're going to want to make the returns the same, £92.59, £9.85 to return £92.58. So those are about as close as we can get. Now our liability down here is £82.73. And similar to the last example, this is not a true outlay. This is not real money, not ours, all the bookies' money. So our outlay is just £82.73. So I'll hit place on this one, and I'll place this one too. Make sure, double check you're on sell. And the difference between our outlay of £82.73 and our return of £92.59 leaves us with around just under £10 profit, regardless of whether the ACCA wins or not. So before any of those races or matches finish, we can work out that between the £9.86 from that and the £21.43 from the horse earlier, we've just locked in £31.29. Now we just play the waiting game. We wait for all those bets to settle, and it's either going to be in our Betfred balance or our Smarkets balance. Then you can withdraw the cash to your bank account and enjoy the fruits of our labour. So I just received a notification from the Match Betting Club community of an arbitrage opportunity. So I'll go ahead and place that now. We've got
Ludogorets to qualify over on Bet365, and Ferencvaros to qualify over on Paddy Power. This is to qualify for the next round, not to win in 90 minutes, so it's impossible for it to be a draw. Now this is quite a mainstream market, so I'm comfortable placing a slightly higher stake than I probably usually would. £100 on Paddy Power returns £150, and a £50 stake on Bet365 returns £162.50. Therefore, if Ludogorets qualify for the next round, I will profit £12.50. If Ferencvaros take the win, I will break even. Of course, you could manipulate your stake in order to secure a profit regardless of the outcome, but I fancy my chances on this one. I hope you found this mini tutorial helpful, and I'll be answering any of your guys' questions down in the comments.
Now, the example I showed you took minutes. Imagine stacking dozens of repeatable offers every week. You're looking at an easy income of £1,000 or more per month alongside your job or education. Now, in case that wasn't convincing enough, I'm going to show you exactly why match betting works in the long term when gambling fails. Bookmakers give out free bets willy-nilly to attract casual gamblers that they know will fall victim to their scam in the end. Match bettors like you or I are in the very small minority. The absolute worst case for a match bettor is to merely break even. It is impossible to lose money by following the backing and laying principle every time. By remaining consistent over time, your profits will snowball into thousands a year, and the best part is it's all tax-free. One of the common misconceptions is that match betting is too good to be true. But the truth is, match betting is too boring for gamblers. Gamblers want the thrill, but match bettors want the profit. Now, I hope you've just been given an insight into the world of match betting. 99% of people lose money when gambling because they're up against the maths that they quite simply can't beat. Match bettors use the maths to turn the odds in their favour. If you want to see exactly how match betting works, I've put together a completely free course here on my YouTube channel. It's less than 30 minutes long, and I'll link it below in the description. It's step by step, made for beginners, and it will turn £0 into your first £100 profit.